Hello, Bigfoot enthusiast. Scott here from Squatch America.
And Hannah, the domestic goddess, chief cook, and doggy mama in the paddy wagon.
Oh, and I'm way behind and clicking buttons tonight. I don't know why.
What are you trying to click? You're in the wrong spot.
There we go.
Okay, so hey everyone. Yes, please join us on Patreon. Find us on Facebook. Like, subscribe, share this video, click the bell notifications, and sign up for our email list on squatchamerica.com.
So hi, Joe and Uncle Bones
and Scott and Michelle and Judy Wheeler and Rick.
Hey,
awesome
Rick.
to see you, Rick.
Nice to see you, Rick.
We're headed down your direction next weekend.
Yep. So
I just want to say this. I forgot to share something. First of all, what do you think of that? You know what? When I did that earlier tonight, I thought, oh my gosh, he's like remember when we were all kids and we would take bubble baths and we would put bubbles on our face like a beard and mustache? He's got bubble bath happening right there. Anyway, at one of these sportsman shows, we forgot, it was so funny. So someone came in, he was busy off in the museum part of the booth, giving his talking, and I said, oh, he's over there in lecture mode. And someone looked at me and said, is that Dr. Meldrum?
And I said, yes, it is.
No, I said, no, it's not Dr. Meldrum.
That's funny.
Anyway, so we've got a great guest tonight.
We do. So shall we play that beautiful bean footage?
The bean footage?
Yeah.
You're pushing all the wrong buttons again. What is your dealio?
All right. Here we go. All right. So we've got a wonderful guest. You want to introduce his book?
Sure. Tonight we have with us, and oh, wow. There are 19 of you already. I was going to say, those people who decided they weren't coming tonight are really going to miss out, because we have with us tonight, I hope I say this right, I believe his name is Kevin. I believe that last name is Welsh, and I've never been good with Welsh. Kevin Llewellyn. Anyway, he is the author of the just barely released book, Incessantly Bigfooting. And it's that title that caught my interest and why I invited him on, because incessantly Bigfooting sounds like someone that's had their soul stolen by Bigfoot.
Yes. So here we go. Hi, Kevin. How are you tonight?
How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, no
Did
problem.
I say your name right?
Yeah, Llewellyn. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. I've heard Welsh people speak their own language, and it's absolutely
yeah. Those two L's at the front. Yeah. That stops people.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So we have a tradition here to ask our guests, what got you into Bigfooting? So what got you into Bigfooting?
Yeah. Well, I still live in Spokane, Washington. That's in eastern Washington state. And I grew up in a small town in the west part of Spokane County. And at 10 years old, I saw Roger Patterson present the film in person at the Spokane Coliseum. And he did a little tour around the Pacific Northwest with the film. Yeah. And then wound up at Vancouver, British Columbia. And I believe that's where all the anthropologists, and primatologists and that gathered to watch the film there. But I was in the Spokane Coliseum, and they put, I still remember him on the stage. I also remember there were off to my left, on the side of the stage, there were 2 or 3 guys in cowboy boots and cowboy hats. And of course, I'm just, enthralled with a 10-year-old boy. And it's like, oh, cowboys going into the mountains looking for this creature, this Bigfoot. But yeah, they put the film then up on the big screen. They put Patty up there, and in the back of my mind just said, wow, look at that animal. Look at it move. That's not a person in a suit. That's an animal. And so, yeah, I was hooked. And so since then, I kept my ears open for any people talking about reports, sightings then coming through the grapevine, because back then we didn't have social media and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was the dark ages then, but yeah. So you just I had to keep my ears open then for, like I say, sightings around Northeast Washington, excuse me, Northeast Washington and Idaho. And it's not the best way to gather information through the grapevine like that. But yeah, so, and my dad was an avid outdoorsman and hunter, and he always said that, I've hunted all over Eastern Washington, and which was not an exaggeration. He really was out there a lot. And he said, I've never seen one. I don't believe that they're out there, but I was out there with him hunting and that, and I was keeping my eyes open and for tracks and, to see anything or hear anything. And so, yeah, I've just been following the topic all my life then. So, and I did write the book, and Incessantly Bigfooting. And because, that title is to me, you have to stay at it. You have to keep at it, keep getting out there. If you go camping on the 4th of July and Labor Day weekends, I don't know, you might get lucky. Who knows? And see something or have something around your camp, but you need to keep getting out there then too. So I want to learn about their behavior. So every time I've had activity or an encounter and that, I think about what are they doing? What's attracting them? And when I interview people for reports and that, I want to know what was the behavior of the Bigfoot, what was it doing? What was it interested in? And so, I came up with that title, Incessantly Bigfooting, because it's persistence. And the first part of the book is true things. One encounter that I had where we listened to what apparently was a group of Sasquatch hunting a deer on a hillside after dark. And my sighting is in there in the book. But then the second part of the book, it's just short stories of where my sense of humor takes over. And so I poke fun a little bit at myself and about all of us out there, about the equipment that we're collecting, and like I say, I wanted to keep it lighthearted. I wanted to give some people some chuckles, make them smile. I think I accomplished that. I think it's a different book than a lot that's out there, and so have some fun with it. And that's my attitude too. That's my approach. Have fun out there. I do a lot of different things to try to attract them and make them curious, but have fun with your friends and family or whoever you're out there with in the woods. And then when some activity starts, that's when it's time to get serious. And then, so you hear some wood knocks. Well, then you have decisions. What do I do? Do I answer back? Do I, and so then it's time to get serious and focus.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally understand. I mean, I just got some little battery powered disco lights, and I'm putting them on my trail cameras, actually, just to make them curious, to see if they'll walk up to it.
To see if they, something different.
Something different.
There's a lot of different things with trail cameras. Of course, the people have talked about, well, there's some sound there with them, associated with them, that could be heard. Mm-hmm. They can see, the Bigfoot can see the infrared coming from them, things like that. Mm-hmm. So people will put twigs and moss and things over them and try to hide them and things like that. But I think Bigfoot, because this has been proven with wildlife, that wildlife sees the electric field that other animals are putting off, and mechanical things. And so our muscles are working, our heart's working. So we're giving off an electric field. And it's been shown that, like I say, that wildlife sees that. And I think Bigfoot probably sees, electric field, around the trail cameras like that. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I will put some on my truck at night. And I hope then maybe the stuff that's on my truck will disguise, any electric field with the trail cameras. So, but yeah, that has been proven, and there's a company that makes a hex suit, HECS. Yeah, okay, you've heard of
Familiar with it.
Okay, yeah, I have one. The human electric concealment suit, and so for hunters and deer hunters, turkey hunters, and things like that. I was a veterinarian for 35 years. I'm retired now, but the way I first heard about that suit was a number of years ago. Another veterinarian was talking to me on the phone, and he knew that I hunted wild turkeys, and he hunted wild turkeys, and he said, "Hey, have you heard about this hex suit?" And I said, "No." And he says, "Well, I got one." And he said, the first day that I was out there, then he said, this coyote ran into me, actually slammed into me.
Yeah, wow.
Guess
So
what
it's a
your
suit.
Christmas present's going to be?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if this,
We'll
yeah,
get one
so
for our son too.
Yeah, I have one. My Bigfooting partner has one of those suits, and he actually had a squirrel crawl across his legs and go up a tree. Didn't even know he was sitting there.
oh man. Yeah.
Yep.
I've not been run into by anything. I mean, I had a wild turkey come up from behind me one time. I was sitting up against a tree and midday kind of relaxing, and and had my legs stretched out, and this turkey stepped over my boot. But yeah, I've never I've not had a coyote or run into me or anything like that. So, but
Yeah.
things like that though, what does Bigfoot see? If they are like some of the other wildlife, they can they can detect things out there. Yeah.
Right. That's one of the things I started doing last year. Is we take my trail cameras, I tape over the IR lights on them, and then I also wrap them in a wire mesh, uh, like a Faraday cage.
Yeah.
But
Wow, that's it. I'm ordering one for both of you, and you're actually going to get some when you go hunting.
okay, all right.
Yeah,
Those aren't bad.
I try to think out of the box, and just like you were doing with your trail cameras, I try to think out of the box, and I try to do different things. Then I'm not out there screaming at the woods, or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'll I'm not a musician, but I'll carry two or three things with me. And what's called an ocarina. Yeah, and a harmonica,
Yeah.
a wooden, Native American flute. And so that sound carrying through the forest at midnight, that I'm hoping that's something that they don't usually hear, and they're going to be really curious and stay around camp, come into camp. And so I'm doing things like that. And thinking outside the box. Another thing that I have done, and it's hard to get or know if I'm getting results with something like this, but several years ago I read that a basketball produces infrasound, and so I've taken a basketball, and I've only heard of one other investigator doing this, and I take a basketball and I crank up the air pressure in it, and then I slam it on the Forest Service road where it's hard, not in the dust, not in the gravel, but on the hard. Or what really sounds great to me is a bridge, a Forest Service bridge going across the stream, and I slammed that thing down on that bridge, and it sounds like a giant drum. And so, if everybody knows, infrasound travels really well through the vegetation. It travels through the ground. Elephants can detect it, feel it in their feet. And, it's really utilized by elephants like that. So something that I've been trying, and anything to get their curiosity going. So.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I hadn't heard that one before. I mean, we play. I have like a speaker that I take with me that I Bluetooth to my phone, and we play human babies crying,
Mm-hmm.
and We've actually got tree knocks and some whoops and stuff from that, but not all the time. And yeah, not to discourage anybody, but most of the time we go out, we find nothing. you know.
Yeah, yeah, and I, I always try to have at the top of my mind, when I see something or hear something, it's like, okay, that was probably an owl, but, or I see a track on the ground and I think, okay, that's a bear double step. Let me rule out that it's not a bear. Okay, then,
Right.
okay, yeah, this is looking more and more like Bigfoot track. Yeah, there was one time where a friend of mine, a fellow investigator, we stared at this one track for I don't know how long, and trackers will tell you to to use the angle of the sunlight and to look at the tracks. And midday is tough looking at tracks, and because you want to get some different angles of the light. But yeah, my friend and I stood there for I don't know how long, but I think the light angles finally changed enough that we were like, oh, okay, no, this looks like a bear double step. So yeah, let's not cast it. I was ready to cast it, and finally, like I say, we studied it, and it was, it looked like it was bear. So yeah, so I keep things like that, or I want to question things, and I just don't want to jump to conclusions right away. That yeah.
Right. I have passed up tracks that I should have cast in the past, and I kind of don't do that anymore. I've myself, I found it, cast it and then figure it out later.
Yeah, yeah,
if it's a bear print, I can throw the cast away. So
yeah. And take pictures then too
yeah,
beforehand, because
absolutely.
once you've casted, you obviously you can't get pictures. So
Right.
I try to take a lot of pictures, and just personally, with my veterinary background and my biology background, that when people put their boot by the track and take a picture and they say I wear a size such as a well, for me personally, that's not doing a lot for me. So
Yeah.
measure it. I want to see what's the length, what's the width of the ball, what's the width of the
Mhm.
heel. And you can carry something standard. You can carry 4 or 5 $1 bills with you in your pocket.
Yep.
I've got some things here, a little show and tell quick,
Yeah.
something. Yeah, well, basically just it weighs nothing. Put it in your pocket, and just a cloth tape measure.
Right.
Yeah, and you've got that with you. Or
Right.
and sometimes
Here,
in
I just pulled
the
this out of my
yeah,
pocket. This is what I carry, just this little
yeah,
tiny tape
yeah,
measure right here.
uh-huh. Exactly. Have something with you, and even if you're out just for a day hike or something like that, at least have something with you like that. And sometimes in the sunlight, the tape measure doesn't show up very well on the pictures that I found. So I have these in my little day pack. I got this little set, and they're colored. And so you can see the colors then next to the track. And
hmm
so I know that, this is the 12-inch and like that. And so I'll just carry that in my pack too. Another thing that I did get too was some CSI numbers, and they are 3 inches at the bottom. And if you don't want to do something like that, you can make your own, get a 3x5 card, and this is 3 inches.
hmm
And yeah, and so set those by the track, and like you say, we can get some idea uh, then of the actual measurements.
Yeah,
Or,
I have some of those little
or,
plastic. I don't have them with me, but I have some of those little
or,
plastic. I'm an archaeologist, so we would lay these plastic with checkerboards on them, and each checkerboard is 1 inch.
Yeah, yeah,
So next to the thing. Yep.
yeah.
or did you know that Dr. Meldrum's field guide has a tape
Yeah,
measure in it?
I
It
would. Yeah,
does.
I
So
have
for
that.
you,
I
yeah.
almost pulled. Yeah, I almost pulled that out of my day pack to
Yes.
have
Oh,
here
yeah,
with
you
me
are
to
my
show.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
I
carry things like that with you too, and it helps us, then see what's out there, and it helps the investigator, the person out there, that if you've got a research area and you find some tracks, one year, and you write down those measurements. You've got the pictures with, your measurements by the track. And then next year, if you find those same tracks again, and so you can keep measuring the tracks in your area over time.
Yeah, over time. That's right. Yeah. Donna, one of our said, Donna, she's got a bridge where she does her Bigfoot booting, and she's going to try your basketball technique. Okay.
So
Let
let's
us,
go.
yeah.
Let's
Keep
go
us informed. Yeah.
Hold on. I got one here. Scott Denver, he has a friend who has a ruler tattooed on his arm.
with a fish,
Yeah.
tattoo next to it.
This one.
Yes,
Yeah.
that one.
Okay.
So Ray is one of our, and by the way, welcome to our Facebook viewers. If you are watching on Facebook and you haven't given this a like, please do like it or love it or whatever. But Ray asks, where did you get the suit and the hex suit? And I went to actually hexhunting.com, HECS hunting.com, but you also can find them on Amazon. And actually, I'm pretty impressed. They're not horribly priced.
Yeah.
They're not out of the realm of, possibility for the average person. So, yeah.
Yeah. When I got mine several years ago, I went directly through the company.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, but if Amazon has them now, yeah, that's great. But yeah, you can go direct. Just search for that.
Right.
Search for that name. Yeah.
Cool. Actually, we're actually speaking at a sportsman show next weekend. No, weekend after next.
No, not this coming, but next weekend.
Yeah. And actually, the Hex people have a booth there.
Oh, so. Do they? I'll have to go check them out.
You probably get a discount at the show.
There we go.
There you go.
I'll have to take a look. Wonder what kind of effect it would be if I wore a Hex suit and took the accordion out. It would be like a disembodied accordion. I wanted to say, you guys have been just talking so much about Renee. It sounds like with those Hex suits, then. Well, I was thinking, can wildlife read our auras? Because it sounds like that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
That bioelectric field that we emit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can they tell whether we're grounded or not?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, when a deer is staring at me and I try not to move, I'm staring back, but still it's out there stomping its leg, and it's like they're sensing something, and of course then they're trying to use their sense of smell also, but they're sensing something, and wild turkeys, oh man, their eyesight, sometimes I think it's better than an eagle, and so if Bigfoot has really good eyesight too, they can see. I always think that they can maybe see whether we're carrying an axe or are we carrying a rifle. They can tell the difference. Yeah, they got good vision.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Cowboy, I don't think Bigfoot would come to polka. I was thinking more like
Bigfoot loves polka.
I'm thinking more that Cajun style.
Yeah.
Cajun. So
yeah, I just like on my flute, I just try to get that haunting sound, just that's going to carry it out there through the forest, and just get their curiosity cranked way up. And we've had them in camp many times, and I don't, I've been criticized too for not jumping out of my tent, and so it seems silly to talk about the sound of zippers, but I think they know what they see us go in and out of our tents. They know the sound of that zipper, the tent zipper. So, I'd have to unzip my sleeping bag, unzip the tent door and try to jump out. And with my thermal or a camera or whatever that people want me to do. But I think they're going to be long gone. They're going to hear that. They're going to hear me getting up and unzipping the tent door. And so I've never tried to do that. I want them to come back. I want to learn what are they interested in? What in camp, are they doing? And and, you know, if they want to slap my truck, hey, leave a handprint on my truck, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't want to jump out of my tent and have them gone. I want them to come back, you know, the next night, or for the next several nights, so however long I'm there camping. And I want the people that are with me to hear things and have an encounter and that. So, yeah, that, you know, my tent's been shaken multiple times, and it wasn't a bear nose or anything like that. I mean, the tent was rocking back and forth, you
Wow.
know. So yeah, and so yeah, I just, you know, whatever they want to do, I just let them do what they want to do, so that I can, and all the time I'm trying to learn. Yeah, I want to learn what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, we actually hammock camp, so all we have to do is sit up. But
Yeah,
but my son also calls that our bear burrito. But
that's what I know somebody who, yeah, I've never asked him if he's had a bear nose in his ribs, you know.
Yeah,
But I think I'd rather at least have a tent wall between me and a bear, you know. But and if I think there is a Bigfoot outside my tent, you know, but what if I'm mistaken and it is a black bear or a grizzly bear, and I jump out of the tent and there I am face to face with a bear. So yeah, you know, the hammock is the way to go. Yeah, I don't think my back could do that these days. I don't think I could spend all night in a hammock.
Oh well, the newer ones where you can sleep flat in them, so they're a little bit better.
They're
But
better.
Kevin says you have a cast in the North American
Cliff's
Bigfoot
place.
at Cliff's place.
Yeah. Hey,
you?
Kevin. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know Kevin.
Okay.
So yeah, from my sighting, then and
Okay.
I mentioned in my book too that, you know, if you can have two or more things associated with an encounter or a sighting. So if you have a sighting and you can get a track with it, if, you know, look for hair, things like that, that, you know, that's, yeah, icing on the cake. That's primo. But yeah, so but yeah, we were this area where we were at was in the Washington Cascades, the Cascade Mountains in Washington. And my friend and I, my fellow investigator and I had been there the year before, and we had heard enough things that I told him, I said, we need to come back here to this area. And so we went back to this area the next year, and we were actually wanting to get to this one spot to have an official expedition for the BFRO. And on the aerial maps, this one spot looked good, you know, like we could get tents set up through the trees and get enough cars to park there. And so we were going up there. It was May, 2:30 in the afternoon. It was a sunny day, and we got up to where we wanted to turn, and just before that there were two elk standing there, and I tried to get a photo, but they took off like any wildlife, you know. You just yeah, it's hard to get your camera out and get it turned on and get a photo. But anyway, I don't know if those elk had anything to do with my sighting. I don't know if this Bigfoot was maybe out in the afternoon like that, looking around, and he pushed a couple elk out of their beds, or if the elk were just headed for water or whatever. They might not have had anything to do with then what was further up the mountain. So got up a little ways, and then we turned up, and this road was getting overgrown. The tree boughs were hanging out into the road, and so, you know, they give you those rubs on your vehicle, you know, those scratches on my truck that I call Cascade pinstriping. And yeah, Bigfoot put those scratches on my truck. Yeah, well, we're looking for Bigfoot. But anyway, so we go up this road, and then I come around this one bend, and you know, and I look up ahead, of course, to see, you know, what the road looks like. And there was this little stretch up ahead of me, and there was this large boulder on the left side, and I measured it later, and it was like 3 feet 4 inches high, 3.5 feet wide, and extended up the road for 4.5 feet. And I approached that boulder, and I could see that the road curved around it, but it was a very narrow spot to creep around that boulder. And I getting closer, and I see some black between the steep hillside going up to my left, and in between, so that little notch in there between the boulder and that hillside, I see some black. But there's black decaying wood all over the forest. I didn't think anything of it. So I kept approaching the boulder, and my focus went to that narrow spot, because on my right side, the hillside went right down. The embankment goes over it. So, I think everybody knows when you're driving in the mountains how there's places where, you look out your window and you're looking right down into the ravine and stuff. And so my focus, though, went to getting around that boulder, and I didn't want to get too close to the edge over there. I didn't know how soft it was. But then all of a sudden, this figure jumps out from behind the boulder, and it leaps, and it lands on the right side of the road. And there was a tree bough, though. I can't tell you how fast I was going. I can't tell you exactly how close I was to that boulder, because my focus was on driving around it. But there was a tree bough sticking out, and all I could see was like this black butt where it landed at the edge of the road. And then it went over the embankment. And so I kind of rolled up closer to the rock and the boulder, and I got out, and my friend and fellow investigator was with me with his wife in their SUV behind me, but with the tree boughs, growing out into the road, and they were back behind me a little ways. They didn't see anything. And so we get out, and I don't even remember what I said to my friend, and so, and he, we looked over on the edge of the road, and he said, well, look, he says, it looks like there's 2 impressions here. It almost looks like we're maybe 2 feet landed. And I'm like, wow, yeah. And I mean, my mind was just racing to comprehend what I saw. And then we looked over the edge of the embankment and the steep hillside, and there was this sliding track. And then down below it, there was just another skid mark in the disturbance of the soil below that. And if it was a bear that I saw, there should have been more disturbances to that hillside, 4 paws, 4 legs going over the hillside like that. It should have tore things up. So, trackers will tell you, look for disturbances. And that's all that there was. And then down below the other skid mark was then the trees started. And there was some, of course, then the pine needles in the trees, and there was even some shale rock down there too. So anyway, what I saw, though, go across, it did not have a bear snout. It did not have ears like a bear. And it was, the best way I can describe it is that if you're standing on the sidelines or standing to the side on the football field, and there's the quarterback, and here comes a linebacker, and the linebacker is lunging at the quarterback to sack him. And it looked like just like that, like a linebacker in football. And so it wasn't upright. I would have to, then just estimate its size based on like maybe what a football player like that, a linebacker, maybe 6'4", 240 pounds or whatever, that a linebacker might weigh in that range. So it wasn't a bear either, because it was not 4 legs. And when I mentioned like a linebacker going to sack a quarterback, there were not any arms extended out either. And what I saw, what really had through my mind, what I had to keep comprehending, was there was something sticking up, like back by its lower back. And my mind is thinking, what, a wingtip, like a raven or a crow wingtip? There was something sticking up, and it took me a little while to process, but its arms were along its sides, along its torso, and its one hand was sticking up in the air. So I saw the fingers, the hand and the fingers sticking up. back there.
Oh,
It launched itself and leaped, and like I say, no way was it a moose. If it was a bear, no.
no.
I mean, and so then to find the track like that, and so we went down to that slide track, and we saw a big toe, but almost what made me say more of a wow was that I saw the little toe angled out. And so I'm like, oh man, this, here's anatomy, here's a foot. Yeah, here's a foot. And so I always try to take the pictures, like we talked about, with measurements and stuff like that. But this hillside was whatever. I'm not very good at the grade of roads or the steepness of hillsides, but if it was like 45 degrees or whatever going down, and I tried to get my camera out and I slipped on the hillside on my hip, slid down the hill a little bit on my hip. And so I'm thinking, okay, forget pictures. I don't want to fall into this thing and ruin it. So I'm going to go get my cast material and cast it. And, and I was pretty confident with the consistency of my cast in that, but it started running downhill. And there was this moment of panic, and I'm thinking, oh, this isn't going to turn out. This isn't going to work at all. But the cast did turn out fairly well, and it pushed up dirt, like in front of the toes. Then there was the big toe, and like I say, this little toe angled out. And so, I took it to the North American Bigfoot Center with Cliff Barrickman, and Cliff looked at it and he said, "That's a track." He said, "Can I make copies of it?" And I said, "Sure." And so, he has a display.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
that's awesome. Actually, we have an artifact in the museum there too. We have a stump where it had grabbed a tree and twisted it off, and you can see the fingerprints in the.
Oh, wow.
It's a fir tree, so it has that soft, flat bark on it. And you can actually see where the hand squeezed it, and it's got the fingerprints in it. And he's got that in there too. So that's cool.
Okay.
Excellent.
So
Hannah's going to interrupt us.
We've got some breathing space here. We need to take a pause for station identification. And we want to let you know what's coming up. And we are going to try desperately to sell you something.
Yeah. So what's coming up tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen? Oh,
whoopsie doodle.
Whoopsie doodle. There we go.
So tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific, Squatch America and Greg Roberts from Greg Roberts from Rogue Weather down in Medford. We will be hosting a Bigfoot town hall meeting at Wild River Pizza and Brewery in Cave Junction.
Mm-hmm.
So bring your money for pizza and a brewski, and
tell us your Bigfoot stories.
Tell us your Bigfoot stories, and we will have shirts and stickers for sale.
A few. Yep. And then of course we got to finish our tour with the
next weekend.
Yeah.
We will be at the 23rd annual Newswatch 12 Sportsman's and Outdoor Recreation Show presented by Bi-Mart, my favorite source for canned tomatoes, at the Jackson County Expo in Medford, Oregon. That's February 24, 25, and 26. And
Greg and I will both be speaking on Sunday there.
Yes. And I will be there being my charming Lucille Ball type self.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the week after that, we will be at a similar event in Anderson, California. So Michelle, yes, we can't wait to see you.
Yes. And then we are headed to
hopefully if that strange cloud that started in Ohio doesn't keep working its way southwest.
Yeah.
Falk Monster Festival on April 29th in Falk, Arkansas.
Yeah,
and while we're there, we're going to be able to dazzle Mr. Lyle Blackburn himself.
Yeah, he'll be speaking there. And then
Jerry Heston, Chester Moore, Jeff Stewart,
and me.
And that guy who's missing the bubble bath on his face.
Yeah. So we'll all be speaking at the Falcon Monster Fest, and then we're coming back to Oregon.
Yes, for the Seeking Bigfoot train ride that is out of Elgin on Saturday, June 10th. And then after that, well, our summer really is shaping up, but we will let you know what's happening later. Before you take off and get back to our guest, which we really want to do, I want to invite all of you to, if you're on your phones, see this little button right here? It says share. Everyone all at the same time. 1, 2, 3, click share. And then it comes up and it says, we want to create a post. Just create a post. And then just say, this is awesome. And throw that out into, and then you click post, throw that out into the Facebook algorithms.
Yeah, if you're on Facebook.
Not the Facebook, the YouTube algorithms. My bad. Because like we've told you before, YouTube will not share us for us. So we need all of you to do that. And finally, there. If you haven't checked out Nomad Internet, please do so. Go to www.nomadinternet.com/ScottViolet. That's Scott with 1 T, Violet. Best rural internet, best internet we've used while we've been on the road. It's been the most reliable, and now they have a situation where you can actually pack it with you into the woods.
There you go. So if you want internet in the woods, giving off all
or
that EMF, there we go.
Just throw it in your suit.
Yeah, that's it. Let's see, one last thing. So the link for the internet's in the description below, but also the link for Kevin's book is right down there. Also, you can click that link and it jumps you over to Amazon and you can buy his book,
Incessantly Bigfooting.
Yes, and I noticed somebody had said their
Janice ordered it last night. We want to make sure that we show him some love and order his book. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so back to Kevin. Hey, we got the pictures. Do you want to?
Well, and thank you everybody for buying the book. And I'm really excited right now because my second book should be out in a few weeks, and so I do have a follow-up to it too. So they're going to be a great little companion set, I think. And
cool.
And so anyway, thank you for buying the book, and I will have a second one here. It's in the process.
All right, awesome. So here's that footprint, if you want to describe it for us.
So the part at the bottom is where it started running downhill. The cast material started running downhill, and then going up to where there's a heel area, and then I casted a little bit of the slide. Then got that in with the track, but you can see up there, kind of where that green is up above the heel. That's going uphill, and you can see where it still slid. There was still some slide mark of disturbance on the hillside, and so you can see how it just pushed, like I say, pushed dirt in front of it, and it's made the disturbance on the hillside, pushed the stuff to the side there too, and that, and then further down was just a line of skid in the dirt. So those two things. So a bear couldn't make that. A bear couldn't do that. So,
right. So how long was this total?
Ooh.
The total is about 16 inches or so, but I think I can kind of see where maybe the heel started, which is about 12 and a half total. But that's the boulder. That is where it was behind. So that's the size of it. And to me, it made, it was sentient. It was aware that it heard us. Did it hear us coming, our vehicles coming up the road? I think it did. And it was there by that boulder. Was it out, looking for elk or deer or whatever? Or was it just maybe coming down that road, that mountain road, and it heard us coming and it made a decision to hide behind that boulder. But as I kept getting closer to the boulder, it probably decided this wasn't a good decision. I got to get out of here. And of course, yeah, it went over the bank, then no problem at all, which they do. That they can,
Yep.
yeah, they can cover the terrain like that. But yeah, I have the original here. I know it might be kind of hard for me to hold up to the camera, but I have the original, and then I have a copy that Cliff made, and I'm not sure which one maybe shows the. Well, let me hold them up and see what we can do here.
Okay.
This is the original, and you can see all the little pebbles in it, and yeah, and that it's dirty, and so that's going to be your original. And I think the heel is kind of starts in here. You can kind of see it this way, yeah. And then this was just more slide mark on the hillside, and then you can see where it pushed up the dirt. Yeah, here too. And yeah, and then this little toe, things are backwards here on,
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, yeah, this little toe going out like this then.
Okay.
And so it's not, yeah, so it's not perfect. You're just not going to find those tracks that are perfect in mud, all the time. And then here's a copy, and you're going to see, of course, that it's cleaner. And I don't make copies of the casts, but like I say, Cliff does at the North American Bigfoot Center. But then here's the copy, and you can see how clean it came out. And so big toe in here, and then the little toe like this, and this is where
I see the toes are spread. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I say, and it pushed up the dirt here, and this is where my cast material started running downhill. But yeah, I think the heel, when it pushed off, I think you can kind of see then here that maybe the heel starts right in here.
Wide is it?
It is like, yeah, it's like 6 inches. It has that. That's what I like to see then too, with measuring the tracks and the casts. Me personally, I like to see the length, and then what's the ratio, the width ratio of the heel and the ball then across. And so yeah, it's 12 and a half inches, and then it's almost 6 inches wide at the ball, like 5 3/4. So you just about almost have a 0.5 ratio of 50%, yeah, of the length. So yeah, it's not, doesn't show all the toes. It's not perfect. That somebody wants to see this perfect cast, this perfect track in the mud or something like that, but you're not going to get that, especially in this case on a hillside. But like I say, I saw this figure go over the edge, and then there's that, and so yeah, the two together. Yeah, I wish he would have left a chunk of hair there on something by the track. Yeah. Then yeah, now awesome. We're talking, yeah, too. Get the hair too.
All right. So we've got a question here from Donna. As a veterinarian, do you think Bigfoot are affected by tick-borne diseases?
Tick-borne, ticks carrying.
Oh, born. I did read it right.
Yeah, so I think though that if they're, if they're grooming themselselves or having others groom themselves, I think they're pulling those things off. Then too, that's a great question. And so yeah, and of course, sickly Bigfoots have been reported by eyewitnesses then too, skinny ones, sickly ones, or if they're older, or are they sick? So yeah, there are ones out there that probably come down with some things, but I think as far as like ticks and that, I think they're watching or grooming themselves and pay attention to things like that too.
So I have a question for Kevin the veterinarian.
Okay.
Actually, I was talking with my mom today about our pets, and we're all pet people. And I said I'm fully convinced that pets are a lot more self-aware and intelligent than we give them credit for. So and I'm sure that as a veterinarian, you're very well acquainted with animal intelligence. And so where on the spectrum between animal and human do you see Bigfoot intelligence falling?
Oh, they are. Well, let me. I don't know if I can find it in my book real quick. um, I quote in my book. I quote Roger Patterson in several places, and because after I saw him present the film in Spokane when I was 10 years old, I signed up for his Northwest Research Association, and he sent out. I got an original membership certificate. I got,
Awesome.
and he sent out these newsletter. He called them bulletins. I call them newsletters, and it was like $6 a year. And so the things that he wrote in those newsletters, he just was way ahead of his time, and it's just amazing the things that he was wanting to do. We're still doing now today. And so he had everything all planned out back then. And so I kept those newsletters, and also at the end of that showing, I got his autograph, and I put those away, just in photo albums. I put those newsletters and my membership certificate and his autograph, and I just kept them all through the years. And then, finally here a couple of years ago, I was just thinking, I need to do something with these. I need to get them somewhere, share them, get them somewhere that people can see them, that they're out there. And so I donated them to the North American Bigfoot Center, then Cliff's Bigfoot Center in Boring, Oregon. So Roger Patterson, though, and I quote the one in the book where he says, in one of his newsletters, he says, the association, referring to basically him, he was the association. According to the association believes that they are the most intelligent because of their intelligence in the wild. I wish I could quote it directly. Because of their being intelligence in the ways of the wild, we believe that they are the most intelligent creature out there next to us. And that was his, and I believe that now, too, that what he said, what he said back then, that's
actually, from the reports we've got and my own sightings and interactions that I've had over the years, I'm pretty much, as an anthropologist point of view, I think they're tool using intelligent, not tool making intelligent, but they're right there at the edge of it, So
they know how to, they know how to use the terrain. They can hide in plain sight. The disappearing stump type eyewitness reports, wait a minute, there was something black on that hillside, 5 minutes ago when I went by here, and now it's gone, so the disappearing stump type thing. So they can hide in plain sight. They know when to remain motionless. I'm sure they know how to get down on all fours or get down on their belly in the brush. They can just stand behind a tree. Who knows how many times I've been out there and there's been one, 20 yards away standing behind a tree, and they just let you walk by. And I have no clue that, that's there. So yeah, they know how to elude. They know how to elude us.
Do you think they're self-aware, like from a psychology perspective? Do you think they have that self-awareness like we do, or are they, they can observe themselves apart from, you know what I'm saying? Like humans can observe themselves apart from themselves.
Well, or with decision making,
Yeah.
I meant,
Yeah.
yeah,
Higher reasoning,
yeah,
abstract thinking.
yeah. Like I say, with my sighting, I of course have been over it thousands of times in my mind, but did it seemed like it made the decision, to try to hide, that heard the vehicle, and my vehicle may have just been a couple seconds from coming around that corner down below, and it was like, oh, here comes those things that carry those humans around, and I got to hide. And it seems like it made, a decision like that to try to hide behind that boulder. But then, like I say, I kept coming in my vehicle, and then it was like, okay, I'm out of here. And so, yeah, I think they know, but and I really think, then too, that there are that there are that they protect their family units, that there are sentries out there. I mean, I've pulled into campsites from going to meet a fellow investigator, a friend, and we're going to designate a spot where we're going to meet. It's like, hey, remember that campsite, at such and such a place in the Washington Cascades, let's meet there. But I get there first, and I pull in, and I step out of your truck, and there's wood knocks greet you. So
We've had that.
yeah, see, yeah, they we tend to camp, like in great places, of course, where there's flat spots for your tent, where there's nice fire rings, and so people are going to these spots, and so Bigfoot knows that. They're intelligent then, that they're watching those spots, maybe, if they're in the area. I mean, they could be 5 miles away too, but yeah.
Metacognition. I think that's what I was going for. Do you think that they're capable of thinking about their thinking about their thinking? That higher thinking, or we call it higher thinking.
Yeah, I think then to I don't know much about the psychology or that, or how the thoughts process would be working, but like I say, they know what they're doing. They are aware. They know where to go. They will migrate, I do believe. There is a term that biologists will use for migration, and this has been proven with mule deer and such, that they will use the same general migration pattern as long as there is older adults or older individuals that remember the terrain, remember that migration route, and they call it landscape memory.
Yeah.
And I think Bigfoot has landscape memory that
I don't have landscape memory.
yeah. Neither does my wife. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're out huckleberry picking, and the Forest Service road, is 50 feet above us, and my wife is like, where are we at? Where's the road? I'm turned around.
I love her already.
Yeah.
So,
Joe says he has a problem thinking about thinking.
me too. Yeah, that's just
Oh my
thinking about the
gosh.
thinking. But
Yeah.
just that's why I say I want to learn more and more about their behavior. Then what are they thinking? What is attracting them?
Yeah.
What's their behavior?
Well, my theory has been, and we did a show on this. My theory is that they are equally intelligent differently. There's that Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. We have intelligence focusing on technology, on language skill, that sort of thing, and they're very their natural intelligence is far greater than ours, natural, and so they've adapted to their surroundings. in a way that we will never have because we don't have to. So it's like in the evolutionary story, they adapted differently than we did.
Yeah.
So, but I would say on
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, but they're
And
as
then-
intelligent in their environment as we are in ours, and perhaps more
Mhm.
so.
Yeah. And then you get in, of course, a lot of the eyewitness reports and everything that are, well, is one having a bad day, or is it just more generally mean than
Mhm.
some other ones? So yeah, there's, of course, there's, all those reports about, do they have some different personalities? Yeah. Are there some that just are more mean, a little more aggressive? Or are they protecting their area? Is their family unit, a couple hundred yards away, and they don't want you to come in there and camp? So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And there's teenage boys. So,
Yeah.
yes.
Adolescent boy Bigfoots. Oh
Yeah,
boy.
Yeah.
He thinks those are the ones that smell bad.
Yeah.
Well, and are they? And then, of course, then too, I've heard it discussed also. Is there even a rite of passage then too? Do the young ones, do they want the young ones to go up, and hey, go rub that tent?
Mhm.
You need to, you need to be afraid of those humans, but here's a rite of passage, or a teenager, you go into camp or whatever, you rub on the tent, then too. Had one investigator one time, a friend and fellow investigator, and she was just camped just a little ways away from me, and we were having them, and that was one time where we had them in camp like 3 nights in a row, and she had rubbing on both sides of her tent. So I mean, that's not a bear nose, or
No.
I mean, that's it was, so there was two. So were those teenagers messing around too?
Probably.
Yeah. Donna says Bigfoot truth or dare.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Ray said
On-
counting coup. That's a Native American thing too. Where you got to go up and tap your enemy.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
you go up and slap that truck, you go up and rub on that tent, or whatever. Yeah, I don't know, but there's a lot of discussion about that, about their
Yeah.
behavior that way. And so,
All right.
is it the younger ones? Yeah, probably.
All right. So we are out of time, actually.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. It
we
went
are.
by
My
too fast.
gosh. Wow.
So Kevin earlier said he talked to you at Beachfoot.
Are you going to be at Beachfoot this year?
I am.
So
Hey,
are
yay.
we. So we'll see
Okay,
you.
we'll see you there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, I love what Angelique says. Angelique, hey, Angelique, good to see you here. They also like to test our grit.
Yeah. That could be another one.
I know, Angelique. Hey, how you doing? So
Okay.
anyway, great. Yeah, there's so much to talk about. Yeah, great discussion.
Yes. So we'll have to get you back on when your
When the
next
book
book.
comes out.
Oh, okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you
So-
for having me
Let us know.
on.
Great. So just a reminder, everyone, please like, share, subscribe, click the
All right.
notification
Thanks,
bell, do
Kevin.
all the things. Go
Thank
get your
you.
internet from Nomad Internet. And please remember this, as we bring all these fine people on, and as we're out there, and as you're out there, our job, not just us, but the job of all Squatch Americans, is to investigate the unexplained.
Not to explain the uninvestigated.
So until next week, please keep watching, and
We'll keep squatching.
bye now.
Go out and find Bigfoot.